Hi, I'm Tom Bowling, and what I want to start with is talking about the mechanics of doing permanent design. And permanent design is much different than doing regular traditional fresh design, although the design skills are pretty much the same, a little bit of modification. So I wanted to really explore and talk about the different types of mechanics or foam that are available. Our first that we're going to take a look at is traditional styrofoam. And styrofoam is very dense, it's very heavy, and it's a little bit more of a challenge to work in with. However, when you do insert a permanent insertion in here, it really grabs and holds on. So we use styrofoam when we're doing either larger installations or bigger pieces, or maybe something that needs to go outdoors to take care of the elements. This is probably one of the good choices to do. One thing we do want to remember is it's very grainy, almost like sandpaper. So never would we want to put a permanent styling directly on a door or on a tabletop with styrofoam because it will absolutely scratch. So we're going to think about when the options are for styrofoam. I have seen, which is really scary, people using the traditional wettable foam when they do permanent arrangements. And we have to remember that the wettable foam is very porous. So yes, it may hold for a very temporary execution, but at some point it's just going to break apart, and we really want to keep this more for our fresh design work. So I really never would consider using wettable foam when we come to creating a permanent styling. The other foam that's most traditionally used is the dry foam. And it's kind of a cross between, or a blend between, these two foams. It is a little bit more grainy, it's denser, so it's going to grab onto the stems that you do insert into the dry foam, but it's not going to break apart like it would if you were using a wettable foam. So it's easier to use than styrofoam, but again, harder or more dense to use as far as doing your permanent stylings are concerned. Now, sometimes there's even a third foam that you may want to consider, and that's like the insulation foam. And I buy this at the local hardware store, big box store, whatever. And if I'm doing like a massive design, oftentimes I will block in the bottom using styrofoam and then top dress with a piece of the dry foam. But to secure all of that in place, then I will take my foam in a can, the insulation foam, and put all the way around that to hold that in place. So I'm not depending on tape, or I'm not depending on pan glue to secure this in, hot glue, whatever. I'm actually securing it in place with the insulation foam. So knowing the power of all of these foams, it gives you an arsenal to really create a good, strong mechanic. And just like when you think about building a house, you know how important the foundation is, because it doesn't matter how beautiful the home actually is, if the foundation is not solid and secure, then the rest of the design is absolutely going to crash and fall apart. So these foams, keep in mind, I do use a combination of this and this and this for my design work. So we're going to share some tips with you now on how to use that and to create some floral stylings.